So, hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Patricia Nadal. I'm the Research Fellowships Head here at Legacy Foundation, and together with my colleague Maria Serra, who is in charge of the Postdoctoral Junior Leader Program, we're going to give you an overview about how to do a candidacy for our program. So, the first part of this presentation will be to present what's Lacaille Foundation Fellowships Program, and then we will get into the detail of the program itself and how to perform the candidacy. Okay, so this is the index. So we will go through all the processes from what is Lacaille Foundation till how to apply. And we start with the numbers and the figures of Lacaille Fellowships programs. Since 1982, we are offering at Lacaille Foundation Fellowships. The Lacaille Fellowships program is one of the oldest ones here at our foundation. And since then, we have offered more than 6,000 fellowships. You can see here on the screen, this is the total investment since 1982, which explains the commitment of Lacaille Foundations towards education and research. Okay, as you can see on the graphic, also this investment has been evolved and has been increased year by year till this year around 33 million euros offered in this year. Okay, what kind of fellowships are offered? We try to accomplish all the career, both from a student till postdoctoral researchers. So we offer 55 fellowships for bachelors from this specific program from low-income families. Then we offer 100 fellowships for postgraduate fellowships abroad to perform postgraduate studies at Europe, North America, and Asia Pacific. And then we have the two programs addressed to researchers, the Infinite program addressed to make the doctorate here in Spain and Portugal. We offer this year 60 fellowships, and then the postdoctoral junior leader fellowships offering 40 fellowships this year to perform projects in Spain and Portugal too. Okay. So what are the highlights of the postdoctoral junior leader fellowships? So as I mentioned, is the main objective of this program is to perform the postdoctoral research at universities or research centers in Spain or Portugal. Is addressed to candidates that has been, they have a little bit of experience in the postdoctoral level. So they must be awarded their PhD between 2 and 7 years before the course closing date. That would be the 25th of September. Okay, the duration is a maximum of 3 years, and then is addressed to STEM disciplines, which mean mostly life sciences and physics, chemistry, mathematics, and engineering disciplines. The fellowship allowance that we are offering this year are the ones that you can see on the screen. They are covering the labor cost of the researcher that is awarded the fellowship. We offer an annual amount of 38,500 euros for the research project cost. And then we have two allowances. One is for a family allowance of 1,200 euros per child per year, and then a mobility allowance of 5,400 euros. But the fellowships are not only the economical amount, but they are only the training. We are offering a training. It's a yearly training based on your needs. Okay, we do like co-working sessions in order to detect your needs. And then we are offering both face-to-face training, fully funded by Lacaille Foundation, and online training. This is the objective of this training is to give you a help, or we try to help you to get these the skills necessary to lead projects in this step and further steps. Okay, so it's mostly based on transversal skills, innovation, and leadership. Okay. So for this is the call that we are offering this year. We are offering 20 fellowships for the incoming frame and 20 fellowships for the retaining frame. I will explain you later on what does it mean. But you can see here that the number of fellowships since 2018 has been increased till a total number of 313 fellowships offered. Okay, so you can see this is a big community of postdoctoral researchers with this fellowship. So you can get into this community if you get this fellowship. That is also important, and I will explain you later on how we do the alumni process too. Okay, so I would like to share my screen to explain you. Let me share the screen. So I hope you can see it right now. Sorry. Let me see if it's working. So you can see this is the La Caixa Foundation's website. You will find here at the website all the information regarding this call. Okay, so if you can go to the web, you can see the two modalities, the incoming call and the retaining call that I will explain you a little what does it mean each of these modalities. But what is important from here is that you can download all the information from the website. So you will see here down that you can find the rules for participation, okay, and documents of interest that mostly I would like to recommend you to take a look into the selection process guidelines. So you will find all the criteria that we follow to make this evaluation and all the steps that you should go through to get the fellowship. Okay, so mainly as Maria will explain you later on in detail what the process is. But if you would like to get more details about the selection processes, everything is written in this document that I will highly recommend you to take a look if you are intended to apply. Okay. You will see also in this website in July, that is not that updated yet, but you will find also the list of evaluators participating in the last call. Okay, it will be updated with the information of the last call in probably early August. Okay, so I will come back to the presentation. And I would like to explain you what is the incoming frame and the retaining frame. We have a difference mainly in the mobility rule. You will see that in the mobility rule, the candidates should have been in Spain less than 12 months in the last 3 years in Spain if you are applying for Spain, and it's the same rule if you are applying for Portugal. So you could not have been here in Portugal for more than 12 months in the last 3 years. Okay, the objective of this incoming call is basically to attract the talent from outside Spain and Portugal coming to our institutions in both countries. What are they are all the difference, which is the research centers that can be host institutions. In the incoming frame, only the research institutes that has been awarded with a seal of excellence, meaning Severo Ochoa accreditation, María de Maeztu accreditation, the Institutos de Salud de Carlos III, and the ones that have been selected as excellence by Fundação para a Ciência e Tecnologia in Portugal will be eligible to host those students from those researchers from the incoming frame. Okay. On the other side, the retaining frame is to retain the best researchers already working in Spain and Portugal. Okay. And let me see, that is a problem with the voice. Anna, could you please close your micro? Okay. And it's important to say that this the mobility rule of this frame is exactly the opposite as the incoming one. So for the retaining frame, you must be in Spain more than 12 months in the previous 3 years. Okay, while if you are applying in Portugal, you have been in Portugal more than 12 months in the last 3 years. This frame, it's open to all the research centers in Spain and Portugal. So which that means that it's really open to every institution if you would like to apply and you are already working in this in one of those two countries. Okay. So let me. So as you can see here in the incoming frame, you will see that those are the numbers of the centers that are accredited. If you would like to know exactly in detail which are the centers that are accredited, you can go to the webpage, the same webpage I showed you before, and download. There are several documents with a list of host institutions that could be a potential host institution and the incoming frame. Okay. So if you have also maybe questions regarding if there's any specific institution that could be or not accredited, depending on the time that you will be hired, then you can make us a request or a question through our email address, okay? And we will try to help you with as soon as possible. So this is the calendar for the retaining frame. So the deadline for candidacies will be the 25th of September. And we announce the pre-selection results by 12th of January. Okay, so after Christmas period, you will get an answer whether you have been pre-selected or not. Interviews will be held from the 10th to the 12th of February, and then with the final results will be announced on the 10th of March. Okay, the hiring for those for the fellows will be from the 2nd of May till the 31st of December of 2026. The incoming calendar that I show you right here, right now, is exactly the same. The only data that is different is the date of the interviews, that it will be from 24th to 26th February, but the rest is exactly the same. So beyond funding, we do a lot of activities regarding to the networking mostly, and we do a lot of activities with fellows, with the people that has been already selected. So we do meeting sessions, okay. We do meeting sessions with the people that is starting with a fellowship too. We do visits to the institutions in order to detect if there are anomalies with everything that may happen into the institution. But this is something that we do regularly with institutions working with us. And on the other hand, we had a like I said, Foundation Fellows Association that do a lot of activities with all the nets of fellows that has been selected from 1982. Okay, so there are more than 6,000 people in this association. And what we try to do is the objective of this association is first to do activities with all these networks. So you have access to a lot of academic and professional talent that is already at this association and awarded with the fellowship, or has been awarded with the fellowship. And you will have the opportunity also to get collaboration with a lot of interesting people in this networking. Okay, we do also a lot of activities regarding to this association with the fellows. For example, we do a lot of activities like journeys, or there are a lot of networking activities, in the sense that we make like cocktails, we do dinner together, but there are also a lot of speeches with specific thematics and so on. So it's important to let you know that this is something that you can get access when you get this fellowship. So in regarding the question of if these fellowships are competitive, the answer will be yes, they are very, very competitive. But that doesn't mean that you cannot get an opportunity, in the sense that maybe the differences between other processes is that we take into account not only your publications, not only your curricula, but a bunch of things related to you, as what you have done, plus your potential. So that's important to mention, because the opportunities are not only based on your publications, but there are a lot of things that we will take into account in order to offer a fellowship. So those are the numbers of the retaining frame from the last call. Okay. You can see here that in the retaining frame, the most of the applications are coming from Portugal, or from Portuguese or Spanish people. Okay. Also Italian. You can see here there are a lot of people coming from Italy. And in the incoming frame is you will see that most of the people is also coming from Spain, basically because there are a lot of researchers that try to come back to Spain after postdoc or two postdocs. So you can see that is for us is like the way that we help also the researchers to come back to our country once they have been for a while in a foreign country or outside. Okay. So I leave the floor to Maria, who will explain you how the applications are evaluated, and then some more information about how to do your application. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. How is our selection process? So the evaluation process is carried out by peer review according to the recommendations of the European Science Foundation, established in the document European Peer Review Guide, integrating policies and practices into coherent procedures. Just so you know, we collaborate with a big number of experts in all fields for all our programs in the department. And for example, for the 2025 call, we collaborated with 629 experts belonging to all fields of knowledge. So during the evaluation process, we differentiate 3 stages. The first one is an eligibility check stage. So soon after you submit your proposal, and by the end of the call for applications, we will confirm that all the information in your application is correct, and we will let you know if there was any information missing or any doubt to confirm that your application is eligible. Once confirmed, you will move on to the shortlisting stage, which will happen remotely by a panel of 2 or 3 experts. And those that have the highest scorings in the shortlisting stage will move on to the interview or final stage, in which you will be interviewed by a multidisciplinary committee. The interview stage happens in a hybrid mode, where the experts are gathered together in our headquarters in Barcelona, and the candidates connect remotely. We ask our evaluators to use a scale from 1 to 8, being 1 a very poor candidacy, which never happens, and being 8 an exceptional candidacy. So as I was saying, in the shortlisting stage, your candidacy will be studied by a panel of experts, usually formed by a minimum of 2 or 3 evaluators corresponding to your field of expertise. We have a system of monitoring significant discrepancies. When there's statistically significant discrepancies in the ranking in the scoring by different experts, they will be called and they will be asked to review again your candidacy. And finally, we have a system to weight the scoring of different experts according to the level of their expertise. For the shortlisting stage, we ask them, as I already said, to score between 1 and 8 your candidacy and to score differently these three criteria, being the excellence of your CV. It has a weight of 50%, the motivation of and your research project 35% of the total score, and the reference letters from your recommendators 15%. On the interview stage, you will be interviewed by a multidisciplinary committee within the big field of the life sciences or the physics, mathematics, and engineering. And in this case, the committee is composed of 5 to 7 experts. Okay, and also in the final score after the interviews, the scoring of the shortlisting stage will be also weighted in the final mark. The evaluation criteria at the interview stage is 50% for the academic and professional background, 30% for the candidate's potential, and 20% for the motivation and the impact of your proposal. So how can you apply? We use a platform for applications, which is the same that we've been using in the previous years. Some of you may be aware that we have been using a new platform for the other programs in our area, but for the junior leader postdoctoral fellowships, we are using the same platform as the one we have been using in the last few years. You will need to register if you are a new user in this platform, and you can use this link to access this platform. Once you have accepted all the regulations, you will see that you are able to choose between the 2 different frames within the program, depending on your mobility, in your international mobility in the last 3 years, the 3 previous years to the closure of the call. You need to understand if you are an incoming candidate or a retaining candidate. Usually, if you are not eligible to one of the 2 frames, you will most probably be eligible to the other one. In case of a doubt, please contact us to make sure you are applying to the correct frame of our fellowships. Once within the application, you will need to complete all these different steps within your application, including all the information, uploading all the required documentation. Remember, you will be able to request up to 3 reference letters, and you will be able to submit your application when all the application is completed and at least 2 reference letters you have been received. So we recommend that you make the request for your referees to send the reference letters as soon as possible, so that this is not a limiting fact at the end of the period for applications. This is very important. The request for reference letters is done automatically through the platform, but take into consideration that you will not able to send these requests unless you have completed key fields within the prospective research center and the statement of purpose sections of the application. Once you have completed these 2 sections, you will be able to send the requests to up to 3 referees. You will be able to make changes to these parts after you have sent the request, but you will not be able to send the request unless you have completed the sections. Finally, it is important that you choose very carefully within the big field of the life sciences or the physical sciences, mathematics, and engineering, which is the subfield that is closer to your expertise, since this will determine the panel of experts that will evaluate you in the shortlisting stage. So some advice before or during your application: read carefully the terms and conditions and the frequently asked questions available in our website, and contact the technical office to solve any questions to this address, fellowships@contact.fundacionlacaixa.org. Contact your referees well in advance so that they have plenty of time to access the platform, get familiarized with it, and send your letters. Be clear and concise with a statement of purpose. Request advice if you need it from expert or senior mentors. And finally, start your application and collect the required documents well in advance so that you are sure to be able to send the application by the deadline, since we do not accept exceptions on this. Please, if you're interested, follow us on the social media and contact this email address in case you had any question to us, fellowships@contact.fundacionlacaixa.org. Thank you. And if there's any question, we may answer. How many people are chosen in the pre-selection for interviews? This depends widely on the number of pre-selection panels that are formed. Usually it depends. Usually like between 1 and 3 candidates end up being pre-selected and moved to the interview stage. This will depend on the number of panels that from the same field that are formed, depending on the number of applications that we received from each field of expertise. For interviews. Can you elaborate on the weight of the publications? The forms ask for the H-index explicitly. Yes, so the form asks for the H-index explicitly, and we ask you to select some publications, but we ask our evaluators to consider that they should take into consideration many other parts from your candidacy and not only numerical indicators. So this information is available in the application, but our evaluators are aware that they should not only base their decision in numerical indicators. What if one is finding it difficult to find host supervisor, and what are the chances of researchers from developing country? Okay, so if you are not familiar, so we do request that you are supported by a host institution that would be willing to host you. It is also true that this is not a binding decision. So if you get support from one host institution or one scientific supervisor within the country, you will be able to change it later on if you have more time to interact with other institutions. But in order to be able to apply, you need the support of at least one institution or one researcher in an institution in Spain or Portugal, depending on the case. This is mandatory. What are the chances of researchers from developing country? We do not have a quote on different countries of origin for the candidates. So our evaluators take into account the science of the project, the scientific project, the potential of the candidate, and we also ask them to consider, to take into account the impact that the fellowship can have on any particular candidate. But we do not specifically request for a specific quote of from candidates from different countries. If I receive an academic position. No, I cannot read it. If I receive an academic position at another institution during the implementation of this project, do I have to give up this fellowship, or can I take the fellowship with me to the new institution? So the fellowship is not compatible with another contract, with another fellowship covering your salary costs. It is possible to change institutions. We have done it sometimes for several reasons. It is possible to change the institution, but not to accept a contract that covers your salary. This would not be compatible with the fellowship. When you say an academic position, if this academic position is covering your salary, it will not be compatible with our fellowship. What are you taking into account in the reference letters? These details you can read in the guide for evaluation. All this information is in the guide of the selection process. Sí.
I am an Egyptian researcher. I obtained my PhD in March 2023 from the University of Cadiz, followed by an invited research stay there until February 2024. Since then, I have been working in Germany on Horizon Europe funded postdoc. Are bioRxiv papers taken into account in the evaluation or only peer review manuscripts?
These specific details on specific situations, please read the guide. And if you do not find the answer to your specific case, write an email, okay? Thank you. For a retaining application, can a researcher apply to the fellowship in the host institution where he is currently developing some work? Yes, we do not require that you change your institution to start the fellowship. Do we need to contact potential hosts? Yes, you will need to have, in order to be able to submit the application, you need to have at least the letter of support of one host institution or a researcher representing the institution. Where can we look at the previous beneficiaries? If you contact the office, we will send you the list, the statistics of the previous call. Does a 2-year deadline for the PhD program depend on the day of the defense? Yes, it depends on the day of the defense. This is what we take into account, the day of the defense. Who can write the reference letters? As we say in the guidelines, any person that has had direct contact with you scientifically, a supervisor, a collaborator, any person that knows you scientifically can write the letter. Can you send the link to check the host institutions? If I'm understanding, you mean eligible host institutions for the incoming frame. This is in the website. We try to keep a list that is updated with the last with information on the last accreditations. If you have any doubt, please contact the office. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For the referees, do they need to be from a specific research group or can they be from different research groups, yet semi-units?
You should decide what works better for you. We do not ask that the referees should be from one institution or another. Based on our experience, we sometimes see comments from evaluators seeing as a weakness that all letters of reference come from the same institution. But this is something that we have seen that the evaluators sometimes don't appreciate so much, but it's not that we specifically ask you to avoid this.
Any advice about who to choose from your referees? Can the host be a referee?
Again, we don't specifically ask you who should be the person writing your reference letter, but it is true that we, again, for example, and in some cases we have seen evaluators claiming that it would not be so ideal that who will be your host for your fellowship is actually writing the reference letter.
Do recommendations letters need to be written specifically for this call or general reference letters for general scientific positions are okay?
Yeah, again, we don't ask specifically if this should be a specific reference letter, but this is something that the evaluators might look into.
Hi, I got my PhD on April this year and I have an MD from 10 years ago. Can I apply?
So what makes you eligible to this to these fellowships is that you have a PhD. So it would be the PhD could make you eligible to this call and not the MD. But since you just defended, I understand, your thesis April this year, you still do not have the 2 years of experience with of postdoctoral experience. What if one is finding it difficult to find hosts? Oh, see, okay.
What if one is finding it difficult to find host supervision? And what are the chances of research from developing countries?
We have read this before. We have replied this before, right?
Yes, I think so. Can preprints be included in the manuscript list?
Yes, you can add a preprint as long as you say clearly that this is a preprint. It's acceptable.
Can you apply to stay in a center even if you are already working in the same center?
Yes, we have replied this before. There's no need to change your host institution in order to apply to the fellowship or to start the contract for the fellowship.
How important is the prestige of the host institution?
So what we see is that the evaluators frequently take into the consideration the host institution, and even more than that, during the interviews, they like to consider the maturity of the candidate when deciding which host institution to choose. But our evaluators know that the host institution that you claim in your application is not binding, so they know that this might change. So it's not something that will, I would say, determine very clearly if you will get the fellowship or not, but this is something that the evaluators might consider among many different things.
You mentioned STEM, but interdisciplinary projects covering, for example, archaeosciences will be covered?
So we say that only STEM projects are eligible for this fellowship, but actually this is not something that we'll be looking into during the eligibility check. It is something that we ask the evaluators to let us know if they feel that a specific project is not in the STEM fields. So it is not on us to decide which project is eligible or not. It will not be us deciding during the eligibility check if your project is eligible or not. It will be the evaluators who will let us know if the panel of evaluators all agree that your project is not a STEM project. We will let you know, and it will not be it will be out of the selection process. I cannot specifically answer if archaeosciences is, I mean, it should be the evaluators and reading the whole statement of purpose, the ones who will decide if it's a STEM or science project or not.
Is there a template where we can follow for the statement of purpose?
If you access the application and you download the template, there's a model with the different sections that your statement of purpose should include.
Hello, I saw that the fellowship has a duration of 3 years. Is it mandatory? If I get a contract with a university in 1 year, may I cancel the fellowship?
If you choose to accept another contract that is not compatible with our fellowship, you can do so.
I would like to know a bit more about the criteria of selection. Is there any quantitative table for merit or any detailed explanation on which requirements needs to meet the proposal?
I again would encourage you to read the guidelines and on the selection process for more details on the criteria that are taken into account.
Are you allowed to apply 1 year from the incoming call, and if unsuccessful, apply again the following year for the retaining call?
Yes, absolutely. For every call, you will need to understand if you are still eligible to the same frame, or if your mobility in the last 3 years has changed, and therefore you might change the frame in which you will be applying. Sure.
You mentioned that 50% criteria is for the person, 35% about motivation and research project, and 15% reference letters. But this is for the interviews. Is the same weighting for evaluation the application? Thanks.
It changes a bit from the pre-selection stage to the interview stage. Yes, please read the rules of the call for more details and the guidelines for the selection guide, the guide for the selection process.
Is it necessary to have a research contract at the time of application? Do you need to have or have had any contractual relationship with a host institution retaining fellowship?
There's no need to have already a contract with a host institution. You will need to start a contract if you get the fellowship. When you start your fellowship, you will need to start a contract, but you might have a previous one.
How much the interview with the expert panel and the evaluation of proposal weights in the final evaluation?
So let me check. In the shortlisting stage, you have 50% excellence of the CV, 35% motivation and research project, and 50% of the reference letters. In the interview stage, 50% of the academic and professional background, 30% of the candidate's potential, and 20% of the motivation and impact of the proposal.
In the last 3 years, I spent exactly 12 months in Spain and 24 months abroad. Can I apply to the incoming program?
So this is a very specific question. I would say if it is specifically 12 months, you would be eligible to either, but you can contact the office with more details. If it's been exactly 12 months that you have spent in Spain, we might look into the main activity you've been carrying out. If you have spent more or less than 12 months with a contract in Spain, we might decide to go to decide based on your contracts. But please contact the office so that we can understand the details.
For the incoming call, is it seen as bad to apply to the same institution where I did my PhD?
This is not in our guidelines. You can apply to the same institution where you did your PhD, but it is true that some evaluators comment as a weakness of an application that there's not enough mobility. But again, this is not something that should exclude you from applying to the fellowship. If this is what you want to do and it's well argumented, it should be fine. But remember that this is something that some evaluators might see as a weakness in your application.
And in the case if I have 2 PhD, one from abroad and another from Spain, I need to apply first one or second one obtained in Spain.
The first PhD that you have is the one that we will take into account to understand if you are eligible or not.
Hi, please can you give us the email to write the questions?
Yes, so the email here, fellowships@contact.fundacionlacaixa.org.
How do you check the mobility criteria? If I have a letter with a date from the host institution abroad, is the proof of residence?
Please send us an email with the details on your case. Usually, if we need to determine if you are if we really need to check if you are eligible or not, we will mostly based it on a contract or even on a flight ticket, mostly on a contract. But if you are in doubt on which frame you are eligible, please contact the office.
For both types of fellowships, is it necessary for the institution to be accredited? And for both types, is it necessary that at least 2 years have passed?
You need to join an institution that has a valid accreditation of excellence at the time you start your fellowship in the case of the incoming fellowships. For the retaining fellowships, you might join any institution. I'm not sure I understand the question that is it necessary that at least 2 years have passed? Yes, you always need to have at least 2 years of experience from the date of defense of your PhD to be able to apply to the fellowship. At least 2 years by the deadline of applications.
The reference letters could be from colleagues where you are working.
Again, we don't put any limitation on who should be writing your letters, but this is something that the evaluators might take into account.
Is it possible to apply for both modalities with different PIs, of course?
No, you should be only applying to one type of the one frame of the fellowship, since we understand that you are eligible to one and not the other based on your mobility.
Is the purpose of postdoc time need to be concrete, or can it touch several topics?
I'm not sure I understand the question, so we will, the evaluators will read your statement of purpose and will try to understand the excellence of your research project. I'm not sure I understand the question. Yes, the statement of purpose should develop a specific research project.
Are collaborations with international institutions valued as a proposals from research during postdoctoral fellowship?
Yes, international collaborations are always considered based on our experience. The evaluators usually consider international collaboration as an asset in the trajectory of a researcher. Of course, you should mention them if you have them.
What are the details of the CV that referees consider aside from the H index?
Yes, again, please read the selection guidelines. But yes, we indicate in the application, we will ask you to indicate your H index and your publications, but we ask the evaluators to take into the consideration other aspects, even your teaching experience, your outreach activities, your international mobility, and all sorts of mentions in your CV will be taken into account. And our evaluators are experienced and know they should look into many other things, not only numerical indicators.
Do we need to have a specific supervisor in the prospective host institution?
So for the application, we will ask a letter of support from a host institution that can be signed by a specific researcher. We ask for an established researcher in the host institution. Once you accept the fellowship, we will ask for the name of a specific supervisor. The level of independence of our junior leader postdoctoral fellowships, we know is very different from one institution to another. There's a big variety from one case to another, but yes, we need to have the name of a specific supervisor who should be writing your letters to recommend the extension of the fellowship at the end of every annuity.
Are secondments mandatory?
Yes, based on the rules of our call, secondments are mandatory. However, we do understand specific personal and even scientific circumstances that may difficult your possibility to do these secondments. And in this case, we ask you to inform us so that we can find and agree on a way to waive the secondment, to reduce the length of the secondment, or to keep your research and your trajectory still international.
The proposal should contain the budget.
No, we don't ask for a budget in the proposal. You will need to present a proposal if you get granted. We will ask you to send a budget, but not for the application. Still, you might choose to include it, but we don't ask for it. And I mean, including a budget should be in detriment of other sections that you might choose to prioritize.
Do you have to be eligible to work in Spain or Portugal, or does the foundation support visa applications too?
We do not support visa applications. If you get granted, then the host institution will be in charge of helping you make all procedures and manage your visa application. We don't specifically look into your eligibility to work in Spain or Portugal during the selection process or the eligibility process.
What kind of documents can be used to prove that I've been living outside Spain for 12 months?
We will ask for your CV, and if there was any doubt, we might ask you to confirm with contracts from your previous jobs, or even if necessary, we might ask for other documentation like documents proving your rent or even your flight tickets. We don't usually get into that, but we might.
Proportion of candidates that get interviews after shortlisting, please.
So we can, for example, for the previous, it might change a bit, right? From one call to another one. For example, for the retaining frame, in the previous call, 418 were accepted, and we interviewed 60, and we interviewed 60 out of 418. For the incoming, for example, we accepted 281 applications, and we interviewed 40.
Does the evaluation during interview stage take into account the results of the previous assessment, or is only based solely on the interview performance?
Yes, if you read the selection process guidelines, you will understand that the final marks of the shortlisting stage is included in the formula to calculate the final score of your application. It is included in the final scoring.
I didn't fully understand the clause for the retaining co-applicant to have been outside of Spain or Portugal for a total of 6 months of research collaboration. Could you please explain?
I didn't fully understand the clause for the... Yes, so candidates to the retaining frame need to prove at least 6 months of international experience in the period from your PhD and including all your postdoctoral experience, at least 6 months of international experience.
The application deadline for this fellowship will be always in September.
It might change a bit. It's been usually, in the last years, it's been usually early October or end of September, the time we close the call for applications.
I studied my PhD and a postdoc in Argentina. I spent 6 months in Spain during that period. I've been living in Spain for a year, but I don't have a job. Can I apply?
Yes, please, these detailed questions for each case, send them to the office, and we will look into the details.
I have spent 2 years in the UK as a postdoc, and I have attended several conferences. However, they don't say any certificate. Is there any other way to demonstrate I haven't attended them? Same applies to outreach activities in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is a very specific question of your case. Please send it to the office, because I'm not understanding if you are asking this to prove international experience. The 6 months of international experience, we ask for research experience, and we would not count attending conferences, but collaborating with research groups. So we will.
Last year I applied. My score a little bit lower than to apply to interview. Can I apply again with the same his professor an improved version proposal?
Yes, absolutely. You can apply again with same, similar, or improved. We would recommend an improved proposal. Consider that it will be reviewed by most probably by a different panel of experts. So the score might change from one year to the next one, and this happens frequently.
Last one.
The last one.
For the incoming frame, should applicant prepare the equivalence of doctorate diploma?
For the application, we ask you to send your copy of the original diploma and a translation to English that you might do yourself. If there were doubts, we would ask you for more details. Okay, so we finish with this. Thank you again. If we ask, so if there was any question, please do not doubt and contact the email. Remember to read to go into the website to get familiarized with the application platform and to read the guidelines and the details on the selection process. And in case that you had any doubt, please email and we will try to reply to your doubts as soon as we are able to. Thank you again. Have a nice rest of the day.